Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Parker Pod. Today's episode, I'm joined by someone that I used to work with at Crunch Fitness. Her name is Courtney Massey, and I'm really excited about this conversation. She's a personal trainer, a mother, and a woman of faith who's built her brand around strengthening not just the body of her clients and herself, but also the faith and confidence that coincides with that. Courtney's journey hasn't been without challenges, though, including her experience with Bell's palsy. But what stands out is the way that she's turned those challenges into opportunities to lean into God and inspire others. We're going to get into her walk with Jesus, her thoughts on hustle culture and finding balance within that hustle culture, and how she juggles it all while still being a mom. Hi, Courtney. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good to be here, Joe.
Awesome. Awesome. That's good to hear. So let's get right into it. First, I want to start with your faith and your walk with Christ. So, how has your faith and walk with Jesus shaped the way that you approach life in general, as well as the personal training aspect of your career?
So, firstly, I couldn't imagine any better start other than the foundation. And for me, that is Jesus himself. I this is such a loaded question just because of where I'm at in my walk with Jesus. But what comes to my mind immediately would be there's not one thing in my life that I do not go through, good, bad, ups, downs, without consulting God first. And by doing that, and mind you, this is relatively new for me in terms of my roots right now and where and how much I'm grounded in my faith. But by doing that, there's a level of hope and perspective and guidance that you just can't get from the world. So personal training has been a passion of mine for years now, going on about 7 years of being a coach. And the beginning of my journey as a coach versus now, the biggest difference is my walk with God. And personal training is my ministry. My clientele, firstly, I think is very divinely appointed to me. Like I always say, like God is bringing me my people, bringing me my clients for a bigger purpose than just physical fitness. And how I go about my brand now versus then is I say I'm building bodies, faith, and confidence. Faith in the fitness realm puts into perspective that this is more than just the aesthetic. Fitness and working out is more than just the looks or the number on the scale or the macros that you're counting that day. Fitness is treating your body as the temple that it is. And ever since I've dived into that part of my passion of understanding this is a responsibility. This is a divine responsibility. When you look at your body as a temple, it takes the pressure off of, I got to look like this by this time. I can't eat that. This is bad. It's just almost as easy as nourishing your body just in the way that your body should be fed, just in general, not just for the purpose of feeling or looking a certain way, just fueling your body, fueling your spirit. And when you know that your body and your temple is where the Holy Spirit resides, that alone is the not motivation, because no matter how you look at this lifestyle, you can't look at it as I got to be motivated to do it, because that'll come and go. But it becomes an obligation, a divine responsibility. Like I said, like I'm not just doing this for me. I'm doing this for the gift of my body, the movement that I'm blessed with, the ability that I can get up and strengthen my body. Like that is such a gift that not everyone has the opportunity to do. So when you put faith into the mix of faith and fitness, it goes hand in hand in just the sense of how you're not just taking care of yourself, but how you're taking care of the spirit.
Yeah, it's a big thing to be able to have perspective on the fact that you are fueling your body properly. And it's not, oh, I don't get to do these things. I don't get to eat this. I don't get to drink that. I don't get to, it's no, you're fueling your body properly. When you eat something good, you feel good afterwards.
Yeah.
So what in our minds makes us want to eat something that immediately afterwards we're going to feel bad? Like,
Right.
it's the immediate gratification of it all, right? Like, yeah, bread tastes amazing when you first eat it, and then later you feel awful. And I'm not talking about like just bread. Like, I make like,
Hold on, because it's just
yeah,
loves some bread still.
I'll make like cheesy garlic bread with like olive oil dipping, and like, after that, I'm pretty slow. I'm not on the 8 ball
Yeah.
entirely afterwards.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's like a balance to it, right? Like being able to like eat what you want, but also fueling your body properly. How did you first like make that important distinction, right? Like, it sounds like from what you're saying at first, you were very like, oh, how I look. Oh, this is the very important part of it. Like, I'm doing this so that way I can look good and feel good because I look good. And now it's kind of like a shift.
Yeah.
What do you think like sparked that shift for you?
The more and more I get to know God is the more distinct that shift is becoming. But just to give you some background, I'm coming from the fitness competition world, right? I was in bodybuilding competitions, and that is all judgment, pure judgment, and it's pure judgment based off of your aesthetic, your proportions, a panel of judges telling you what's good about you and what's not good about you. Someone was better in this area than you were. And I'm not going to lie, at that time, that was a very euphoric experience. It was a great experience. It taught me a lot about discipline. It showed me a lot about what the body is capable of, not just what it comes out to look like, but what it takes to get to a level that only 1% can get to.
Yeah.
That right there is really cool. So it does have that self of accomplishment, but it's pure. If you're not careful, it can be very defeating mentally, because after that, and that was in 2019, after that, years of working out, I was working out with the mentality, I'm still a competitor. I'm still a bodybuilder. I'm working out to only for the focus of looking a certain way. And at first that's okay, but through growth, through my walk with Jesus, through becoming a mother, that was a huge shift as well that we can get into. But things started to feel like I was showing up and commanding my body to do things that were opposite of what my body was actually truly trying to tell me. And I didn't really understand that sort of communication between myself and my body at the time, but I felt it. I felt that I was going to the gym, sticking into the routine, working out as if I was getting ready for a show, working out past measures of physical capabilities, like I'm hurt, my joints are hurting, my strength is weak, but I'm going in, and you're going to do this anyways, body. Like, so there's some, up until recently, I'm learning what rest means. I'm learning what letting your nervous system have a break to recover. I'm learning all of this stuff that is kind of not so emphasized in the bodybuilding world, because again, bodybuilding in that realm is just very hands-on with the physical part.
Yeah.
So I think just that shift is more of loving my body as what it was created to do and not just look like.
Yeah, I think it's a big distinction that it takes a while for people like us to get to, right? Like, I've for like over a year worked out 7 days a week, ran 7 days a week, and it got to a point where it's almost like if I go, okay, I can take today off, you kind of feel weird at first. You're like, wait, I'm not gonna lift today, and I'm not gonna run today. I'm just going to relax my body. And it almost feels like counterintuitive, but something in your mind tells you like, no, you need to take this rest day. You need to relax. You need to stop. And I'm not going to lie to you, it was a hard distinction for me. I want to know what it was like for you when you first had that thought. Because for me, I thought to myself, like, am I taking it easy on myself? Am I now getting soft? Am I now not doing everything that I can do? Which for me, being a Christian is a huge part of my faith, is if God woke you up this morning and he gave you the ability to do, why are you not going to do? And that was a huge part that like I had to also break away from, because I even took a lesson from Genesis, like even God rested on the seventh day.
Yeah.
So if I'm working out every single day all the time and I'm constantly working all the time, is that a pride thing? Am I saying that even I work 7 days a week, even though God doesn't? I don't want to say somehow better than God, but it was like a subconscious thing where it was like, no, I will power through even the messages that the universe and God are sending me, because I'm going to power through because I think that I know better, because I'm working out more than even God.
Wow. That's really deep, but so valid and relatable. I think that's like a more of a battle between the mindset of the flesh and the spirit. And for me, I think the distinguished mark was, as you get to know Jesus, you know that he is a father, a God of grace. The grace is abundant. And when you get to know Jesus, and the objective and the goal is to become more like Jesus. And so for that, I need to show myself more grace here. I'm doing what I can, and I'm also doing more than what I should be, because of the kind of similar to what you were just describing. It's like, I'm a personal trainer. I have to look the part. I have to play the part. I have to show up as the part. And that kind of pressure is not something more nowadays, is not something that I want to preach to my brand and my clients, because of my brand is my faith. And when you understand that level of love and that grace that the Father extends to you, you start to embody it. And then things like coming home and taking a nap feel part of the process, instead of coming home, fighting that urge to want to take a nap or just kick your feet up for a moment because we got work to do. If I don't get this workout in today, my progress is set back however many days. I don't think that's a way to go about anything when of course you're trying to create the longevity of it, when you're trying to make things sustainable. How sustainable is it to every day wake up constantly going? And I've learned, I'm in a season right now where this is more front of my mind than ever before. And that's just because of some things in my health that my body have been telling me for a while, some signals that my body has been telling me for a while that I've just been ignoring and putting off. And God, being just as amazing as he is, he will send you things to slow you down. He will test you. He will put you through the storm. He will put you through some things just as almost like a form of communication, if you can look at it that way. And that's just kind of where I'm looking at it right now, is I have to work really hard to separate the flesh, the world, the society, and their viewpoints on how to go about your fitness journey, how to go about working out and eating. And I have to put more of the spirit in this if I'm going to continue myself and also help my clients go through the same struggles.
Yeah. Speaking specifically on the health things that you were talking about, you were diagnosed with Bell's palsy a little over a year ago.
Yes.
Right. Can you share what it was like being first diagnosed and how it affected you mentally and emotionally?
Man, this experience has shaped me. I couldn't even imagine being who I am today without this experience. And that's me coming to you where I'm at now, over a year of it. But you take me back to that first day. This was probably the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to me. So just in case if people aren't aware of what Bell's palsy is. Bell's palsy is partial facial paralysis due to excessive inflammation around the cranial nerve 7, which is your main facial nerve. All of the inflammation around that nerve shuts down signal to your facial nerves, which shut down your muscle movement. So when I woke up with it. So let's start there. I was in excruciating pain. It was so beyond painful. The headache, the earache, the jaw, that was really tough. And then the paralysis set in maybe about a little less than 24 hours later, but it fell off. Like it all just felt off. And it was at first like, okay, this is what it is. This is going to be gone tomorrow. This is going to be gone in a week. Okay, whatever this is, we got this. But I will say, and this is what I want to stress so bad, because something like this or any trial that anyone could be facing could either lead you down a really bad path, or it could lead you straight to what this is meant to be, and an opportunity to pour into your faith, grow your faith. And so for that, I'm thankful. I am beyond grateful, because this experience brought me to my knees. Hold on, baby. Crying out to Jesus. And I can't ever remember I don't even remember the last time that I have been in a surrendered position where I'm screaming and crying and, God, why me? Why is this happening to me? What are you doing to me? Like it wasn't all rainbows and butterflies in the beginning. I was angry. I was distraught. I was traumatized. Like, my profession of aesthetics and looking a certain part, like confidence coming from external beauty, it was a whole mind. I was about to say mind F, but we working on our language. It just tore me up. And through this experience, I had to learn a lot, but this is when I remembered that even Jesus cried out to God. Even Jesus was in so much pain, and on the cross, he said, God, why me? Lord, why me? Why have you forgotten me? And that right there gave me so much comfort in knowing God can carry it. God can carry it, because he's not punishing me. There's nothing to punish me with. This isn't about punishment. This isn't about wrongdoings. But that took a while for me to get on that spiritual level of acceptance with this.
Yeah. I actually remember the first day, because you just seemed off. You just seemed entirely off. And I mean, we were both so busy that we would talk here and there, but like, because we were both just packed all day. And I was like, Courtney, what's wrong? Like, you didn't even like say anything to me. Like, it wasn't anything you said. It wasn't anything that you did. It was just like, you were like facing the locker the whole time, or you would like face the corner where the massage booths were, or you would like be looking right at the computer screen. Like, you wouldn't even look at me. So I was like, what's wrong? And you like looked at me, you were like, look. And I was like, what? Like, I personally, like, right at first, because it was so like mine, like I didn't even see anything, but I could tell that it was something was weighing super heavy on you, and it completely, you did bounce back from it, but at first you were a completely different person when that first occurred, but you did bounce back. So what was that turning point for you where you finally accepted that this is going to be a huge challenge that God placed in your life? Like, instead of fighting it, you finally were like, okay, let me use this to be better than I am.
My gosh. I love that we're on this right now, because it's been a while since I've been able to really go back and feel those first moments through this experience. I remember that coming into work, my gosh, I will never forget. So I took about 4 days off when the paralysis hit. I took 4 days off of work. Just to sit with it, process what is going on. My mom and my sister flew down in town, and that was probably the best thing that could have happened, because we laughed at it. It was funny. Take that from my family. So it really just kind of lightened my spirit, having them with me through that. But coming back to work was traumatic. I wasn't ready to talk about it. I didn't know what to expect. The stares, the questions, just everything, that spotlight, I was dreading. But I'll never forget, on my way to work that first day, I told Jesus, Lord, every step from here on out is through your strength and not mine. I need you. I need your strength to walk in those doors right now and every day forward. And I had to. There's no other option over here. Yeah. I'm a single mother. Everything is on me, like I have to show up. And therefore, because I knew I had to show up, I was not going to be able to do it on my own.
Yeah.
100%, none of it is me. And I want to give glory to God in this moment right now because of all of the comments of, wow, like, you're doing so well. You can show up and be so, bubbly and positive. And that makes me so happy because what all of you guys saw, all of that is y'all just seeing Jesus. That
Yeah.
is him coming through me, being the light, being the positivity. That's just my spirit. But there wasn't a bounce back day. There wasn't a day or a time where I'm just like, okay, this is cool. Because even to this day, it still wrecks me sometimes,
Yeah.
and that's just real. That's raw. There's nothing ideal about this. But what I've been able to portray to the crowd, portray to my clients through this experience is where officially my brand really changed. Because I don't let anyone tell me any kind of compliment without them knowing that this is like, oh, that's all God, baby. That's all
Yeah.
God. Like, glory to God for that. Because without him, I'd be in darkness through something like this. I don't live a life of depression. I don't come from a background of depression or anxiety. So mental health was that change was new to me. Going through those feelings and those thoughts, those insecurities, that was all new to me. But it's glory to God. When your mental health is in a rut like that, your spiritual health has to be up here. So what do I do in a situation like that? I go into the word, into the Bible. I'm not in a season where I can go hang out with people and work out the way that I used to work out. Like, this isolated me. This was a season of isolation. And at first, one would maybe think like, well, depression causes isolation. And I can understand that. I understand the idea, or I shouldn't say idea. I understand the depressive state. What
Mm-hmm.
happens, your thoughts and your feelings and chemicals and all of that. So, but now I can really empathize more having gone through that. So I guess to answer your question on this note is really there was no turning point. It just got a little bit easier and easier the more I spent time with God, the more I spent time with my creator, the more I spent time with him, the more I was able to heal other things that were suppressed, like deep, deep, deep down.
Yeah.
And for that, if you asked me if it was so important for me to heal those inner wounds that I've been carrying for decades, if you ask me, well, hey, you're going to have to go through Bell's palsy in order to do that. And basically, that's just going to paralyze your face. You're going to be humiliated. Would it be worth it to you? I'd be like, oh, heck no. I've become a pro at suppressing things. I'll just continue that. But I have been praying on healing. I have been praying like, God, like, just heal these wounds. And why am I here? And what just works through me? And now, over a year later, I wouldn't change anything. I would do it all over again, because that's how much it was worth it to me to have God stop me in my tracks for a moment, a year and some change, so he could really work on me. And I can't put a price on that. Like, this isn't something anyone in the flesh, anyone in the world would want to go through, but that's how God works. That's just the beauty of his plan.
Yeah. It's very hard to want to accept certain things like that, especially when it's something that you didn't, like, you did, but you didn't do, right? Like, sometimes, like, for me and my weight loss, like, I did that. That was an accumulation of things that I did, that I imposed on my body. I ate the foods. I neglected to work out. I neglected to be healthy. And then my journey was through that, was getting it off and continuing to get it off. But I can imagine how, like, Bell's palsy, like, the leading up to it, it wasn't something that you could look at and be like, okay, I got to fix this now. It was something that just happened to you. And then 24 hours later, it was set. It was set in stone. And, like, this is now something that you have to overcome that you didn't necessarily do to yourself. And that must have been extremely difficult to accept.
It was.
Aside from external validation, external motivation, it was more intrinsic for you.
Yes.
Do you think that any sort of like hustle culture played a role in this as well? Because you said it was a lot of like working out and go, go, go. But I do remember that like you also started to take clients at like 7 a.m. rather than 5 a.m. So do you think like the hustle culture also played a role in the stress that you were imposing on yourself?
So Bell's palsy is induced by chronic stress and fatigue. Crazy. Great. Because I'm like, awesome. Stress, fatigue, that's my life. And at that time, it made sense. I was going through it at that time. A lot of lifestyle changes that took my lifestyle from this to this, 0 to 100. And both in which affected me in the matter of how much sleep I was used to getting versus what I was getting at the time of these events in my life happening. And then the stress that, of course, of the new pressures that were coming at me again with these lifestyle changes. I, at this time, was getting maybe 4 hours of sleep. My lifestyle was okay, going to bed maybe somewhere around 11 o'clock, having to wake up at like 3:30, 3:45 to get ready to get to work at 5 a.m. From 5 a.m., it's the industry. You hustle, you have to grow a business, you're gaining clientele, you're physically active. So when this all happened, this was a sign to me of when I was reading more into it and studying Bell's palsy, I realized I need to make changes and I need to make them now. That was almost like a responsibility that came after the fact. Like, okay, well, this is what it is. What can I do about it, at least on my end? The hustle culture I have a new outlook on the hustle culture. I'm a hustler and that's just in my blood.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised, and had to grow up really early. I'm working multiple jobs at a young age. I know this. I'm good. I'm good here. I'm comfortable here. Right.
Yeah.
So it was a hard adjustment, kind of like what we were talking about in the middle of or in the beginning, where we're like, I got to wake up and I got to work out and I got to go and I can't nap because if I do, then this was, oh, shoot, I have a physical sign of, no, we need to do it. We need to do it now. And you need to get used to this new kind of lifestyle. And that is rest. And that is recovery. And that is central nervous system health, not just physical health. So my outlook on the hustle culture now has to have balance. There has to be balance in it. Not only was I working at 5 a.m., but I was also working weekends.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, all right, well, I can't afford a day off. I gotta make this money.
Yeah.
So you're right. How I had to start that was like, okay, how can I get more sleep? Well, yes, we can have, a better nighttime routine and schedule and all of that. So that was in the works, but also I'm going to have to eat this one and I'm going to have to change my availability in my business and start my days at 7:30 now, as opposed to 5 a.m. just to get a little bit more sleep, just to get a little bit more time to wake up and let my mind turn on, let my body turn on. And before I just jump right into it, I had to eat another one and say, you know what? I work 5 days a week, this time through this time. I'm going to give myself weekends off. Weekends are going to have to be where I just relax, reset, pour into myself, love on myself, turn my mind off, turn my body off. But the industry, that's hard because you're a personal trainer, but listen, you're a friend, you're a therapist, we're making sure our people are good. And that's also what I love about my job. So that's no complaint, but that's just the reality that there has to be boundaries now.
Yeah.
I wasn't coming from a place of boundaries. I was just coming from a place of making sure everyone's every single need was met before
Except
my
for
own.
your own. Yeah.
Exactly. And I say before my own, but you say it best, except for my own, because sometimes it never came to making sure my needs were met.
Yeah. Because if you never fill your cup back up, right, there's going to be nothing left in your cup.
Yeah.
And some people require their cup to be filled more than others. and you can give that, especially being in the industry where like if someone has a question for you, you're like, hey, this person pays me like $600-700 a month to train them. I can answer a question really quick. But then that question turns into from a text to a phone call to, you think the phone call is going to be 5 minutes. It ends up being 20 minutes. And now you're 20 minutes out of your free Saturdays gone. And those boundaries are really, really important. And it's like, if you're like explaining this to someone who's not in the industry, they're like, well, that sounds kind of selfish. And it's like, it is.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's selfish because it's for myself. So it's not that I don't want to help you. It's just that if I don't help me, I'm going to have less of me to help you when I can help you.
Perspective.
It's going to get to a point where I'm going to get, I don't want to say fed up because it's not fed up, but I'm going to get like, hey, when is it Joe's turn to like ask a question or to need help or to get what I need? Because then, I mean, this is how it is for me. I don't know if this is the way it is for you, but I'll start getting frustrated. Like I would have clients that would text me during sessions and they would be in the gym like, hey, can you come look at my form? And I'm like in a session with someone else and they're like, oh, like I see you're with someone else. And I'm like, yeah, I have other clients as well. Or if I'm taking my 30-minute break to eat my lunch and they're like, I saw you in the gym. Why are you not answering? I'm like, I only got 30 minutes. I'm working a 10, 11 hour day today. I got 30 minutes to myself right now. Like I'm sorry I didn't see your text. My bad. Like, and then you have to balance that with also they're the ones paying you. They're the ones, paying you for your advice and for your service.
Yeah.
But where do the lines in that contract go to? And in the industry we're in, you make your own business, so you kind of have to draw your own lines. And at first, especially when you don't have so many clients, you want to give those few clients that you have like everything you got. Like, yeah, I'll answer the phone. I only got 5 clients. Yeah, sure. I'll text you. Oh, I'll go grocery shopping with you. I know a few people did that. Like, I'll go grocery shopping with you. But when you have 40, 45 clients and everyone wants you to go grocery shopping with them, that's 45 extra hours of your week if you keep allowing it to occur. So how do you balance that? I know it's like, I know it's a tough conversation because you are friends with a lot of your clients and you are cool with a lot of your clients. So all of them actually, I don't even think some of them, I think all of them.
I love my clients.
Yeah.
Shout out to my clients.
Yeah. I mean, so like how do you manage that? How do you manage to still be kind, follow the service pillar of being a Christian, but also drawing that line for yourself?
So I think the conversation is only hard when you wait too long to have it, because then things are already established. Expectations, patterns, availability. So the industry, any job that you're in, you learn as you go. You learn these things as you go. So majority of my clientele, which this is a blessing, has been with me for over a year since I even first started at where I'm at right now at Crunch. And so they've been with me through these seasons and phases of my life. They've seen me go through the thick of it. And I mean, these clients signing up with me when they did, this is what I mean by them being totally sent from God. You don't know it at the time, but the way they were able to come to my rescue when this happened, the support that I had, the family that I had in my corner, like this was all, God already knew what he was doing when he brought me my people. I just want to point that out and put that out there because what a blessing I have out of my clientele. But anyway, that conversation now in my business is a conversation that is immediate. It is, and I love it too, because it's a sign of respect. And if I'm going to coach my clients, it's so much more than just how to work out, even though that's really where my certification lies. And I'm going to teach you how to work out, but I'm also going to teach you about boundaries. I'm also going to spread the word of God. I'm also going to help you in your relationship problems. Like I'm going to do it all for you, girl. But that initial meet and greet, here's my expectations for you. What are your expectations for me as a coach? But when my expectations get laid out, I'm letting you know I'm a full-time single mother. Okay. That is first before this job. Okay. My time outside of here is with my daughter. I will get back to you when I can. I will never just leave you stranded, but I just want to make sure that standard and that expectation is understood from the get go. Sundays, this is a very unpopular opinion in the world of hustle, in the world of building your own business, but Sundays, heck, if I even have my phone on me, like I am so, and this is a process and still is, but my health is what is so important to me right now. And my clients understand that. And in fact, it teaches them, hey, get off your phone every once in a while or be self-sufficient. Here's your program. Look it up. And that again, these are unpopular opinions and things that are fearful for coaches because they fear that, well, if I'm not at their every need every minute, they're going to fire me as their coach. Well, if that's the case, then it's got to be what it's got to be. But you can't live your life or your career around other people at every second. There has to be those lines that are drawn. And like you said too, Joe, is when you can fill your cup up, I come into the new week and I give everything to my clients. If I am doing what I was doing back then, on top of my responsibilities at home, on top of my priorities and my faith, I would come in on a Monday like, I I don't have anything to give you. And it shows. And your clients don't want that. They don't deserve that. That's not what they're paying for. That's not what this experience is supposed to be about for them. So what I have learned is you can hustle with boundaries. You can hustle and still be in control. And when I'm at this point now, I can say that I think I've really found that I found a way to really go about that respectfully on both ends, mine and the needs of my clients. Then your business, such as mine, is my business is where it's at today because of my boundaries. My business is where it's at today because of the priority I have in pouring my own cup, loving on myself, making sure it's known that my daughter is number one. Hustle and boundaries, business and boundaries. It's like a hard thing to juggle, but when you establish that and go into it with that mindset, it's a whole lot easier than waiting and wishing that you said this already, or how am I going to tell them now when I just spent months of giving them this, and this time, you almost feel like you would take something away by doing that versus establishing that at the beginning.
Well, yeah. I mean, that happened to me because like I said earlier, when I just had like 5, 8, 10 clients that first like week and a half, the week after I was like booking and selling, it was like my first week of actually having like clients within my schedule. They would come to the gym on the days that they like didn't have they didn't have a session with me, and they would ask me questions, and if I was free, that was fine. But then like I said, it would turn into like I'm not free anymore, or I'm free for 30-40 minutes. I just want to eat food in the break room and just like get my protein in, eat my food, relax, and then I have another 4 hours of clients back to back. So like I'm sorry I didn't want to answer the question, but I didn't establish those boundaries at first. Now going forward with people that I would have, I would go, hey, look, Saturdays at 3:00, after 3:00, I do not do sessions. Sunday, I do not do sessions. Friday, I prefer to have my last session at 7:00 because I just wanted to have a little bit of my Friday to like relax afterwards. But at first, I don't know if you remember, I was there from like 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. every single day.
I know
And
you were there early, but mind you, my schedule cuts off at 2. I don't come in any later than that. So I know you were in there grinding, but I wouldn't see it because I was never in there. That's crazy.
that was 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And I had to like cut back on it. Cause when you first start out, like you were there when they initially opened up, right?
Yes.
So like you had that pre-sale influx of people signing up for training.
Right.
When I came in, it was, you don't have anything. Good luck. So like I had to be there every single day. And then when I cut back on that, felt weird for me. And also I think like my clients kind of felt weird, like, oh, he's like now setting boundaries. But I had enough income to set those boundaries.
Sure.
because I grew, like my clientele grew.
Yeah.
So it was really, really hard for me to, because I put all my value in my hustle. And like that
Yeah.
was it was a net negative for me in the end, because I didn't put my value in caring for myself and filling my cup up. I put my value in, can I make this work? And a lot of it was, I want to say, negative external. Like it was like people going like, you're going to move to Florida and you're going to be a personal trainer, and it was like
Doubt.
no, like I'm gonna do it, and I'm really gonna do it.
Yeah.
To the point where like it's gonna be undoubted, and it wasn't where I was supposed to be, and it wasn't what I was supposed to do. But I also think it was because I met Audrey there. So like, had I never worked, I would have probably, I mean, God has his ways, right? I probably would have met her because I'm supposed to be with her, and I
Yeah.
know that I am. But it was at that moment I was working there. I don't know. Did she tell you the story at all?
I'd be interested to get into it.
Yeah. So I asked her if she wanted to do a kickoff with me.
Good old icebreaker.
Yeah. It was, and I had like a 5% interest in doing a kickoff with her. Like I really liked her. And then she gave me her phone number to like put it in the system. And she goes, I come back, I'm like, hey, like your phone number is not in the system. She's like, yeah, I'm using someone else's membership. And I was like,
hey.
she's like, don't tell anyone. Don't. I was like,
no.
Don't worry. Just do the kickoff. And you know, I won't say anything. I won't just do the kickoff. I won't say anything. But like, you will have to sign up for a membership then. Like in the moment, I wasn't going to rat her out, be like, leave, because she was done with her workout anyway, because then that just would have completely ruined the opportunity for us to gain a sale and to gain like a member at the same time.
Yeah.
So she comes back in, she does the kickoff, and I just start like talking to her like after I'm doing the kickoff. And as I'm talking to her, I like completely lost track of time. I lost track of the fact that I had a client, like the fact that my client's texting me like, Joe, like, where are you? Like, what's going on? And I'm like so locked into the conversation that I had like absolutely no Nevaeh.
Sorry, she's playing games. I'm keeping a 4-year-old entertained.
That's what being a single mom's all about.
Hey, we get it done.
Yeah.
That's it right here. We get it done.
Yeah. But I completely lost track of time, and I lost track of like everything with like my client. I was like 5 minutes late. It wasn't anything crazy, but I was like, hey, this session's on me. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I got caught up with the person before you. But I don't know if you knew this, but I had a very strict rule when I was there. It was no dating clients and no dating coworkers. Like that was like my thing. Like I did not want to.
That's good.
Yeah, I did not want to mess up my opportunity there with something dumb like that. It's like when she left, she was like, oh, like I'll think about it. I may do like the once a week or like the once every other week, you know, like with my budget right now, it's like probably what I'll be able to do. And she left, and I was like, for the first time, I was like, I really hope she doesn't sign up, because she signs up.
Any of us say when we take a new client,
right? Like I was like, I will be like, I don't know what, I may give her to someone else and then ask her to go on a date, because like I don't want to. Like, I don't want to mix it up. And so she texted me and she was like, hey, like, sorry, I won't be able to do it. And like, for the first time when someone goes, hey, I won't be able to sign up, I was like, yes. So I texted her after and I was like, hey, like, no worries. And then I hit enter twice and I goes, would you like to work out with me sometime? But she just saw, hey, no worries. So she like ignored, because when you enter twice, it doesn't show that the message continues. So she was like, I guess he didn't like me. And so like
dang, I shoot my shot.
Yeah. So like for 3 days, she like doesn't respond. And then she texts me, she's like, oh yeah, I would love to work out. And then, yeah, rest is history. But like, it was just.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
History.
Without Crunch though, I probably would have never met her like that. I mean, yeah. So like, even though I'm like, oh, it wasn't what I was meant to do full time forever, at the same time, it was definitely a reason that I was there.
Yeah, there's 100%. A reason for the season with your time with Crunch. And I love that because there's so many moments, well, not identical, because my future husband is not up in Crunch fitness. But there are many moments where I'm giving thanks to Crunch for the opportunity of the people that I've met, the connections that I've had, the friendships that I've gained, the experience of professionalism that I've gained. Like, Crunch has provided a lot more than just a paycheck.
Absolutely.
And so for that, I really am grateful for the just where I'm at now. And in this season, in the past season, wherever I'm going, I leave it in God's hands because I know He's going to take care of it. I love that for you because I've never gotten into that story with you two.
No. Yeah, and
That's
you actually you train Audrey, for those
I
of you that are
know.
listening. Yeah.
This will be a conversation in our next session.
Yeah, for sure. I would, I don't come to the sessions, but that is a conversation I think would be funny for me to hear.
And what happened, what was talked about in our session stays in our sessions. And
Yeah, no,
you know about this conversation.
yeah, no, I know. I think, how do you balance, like, in your life, like you said, like people I met, like, your husband may not be at Crunch Fitness, right? But someone from Crunch Fitness may know your future husband, right? So how do you balance, like, being entirely open to things, but also being, like, conservative with yourself and your energy at the same time? What's your, like, main determining factor when you're trying to be open but also trying to conserve your energy?
Trying to be open to what?
Open to, like, new experiences, right? Like, if one of your clients is like, oh, hey, I know this guy, I think he'd be a great fit for, like, how do you, determine, like, maybe this is something for me, or is this just something that's going to waste my time and is a distraction from me resting and me conserving my energy?
My number one question is, like, what if that were the case? That has not happened where a client is trying to set me up with someone, but that doesn't mean people at the gym haven't shot their shot. My number one question, and I don't always come out blatantly and just say this, but I have more of a spirit of discernment these days versus what I did before. And look, are you a man following God's heart? And if you're not, respect to you, but you're not the one.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. And that is a very narrow path to go down, because it's kind of like the whole fitness thing. It's like the competition. It's like that 1% actually make it to that point of whatever. Well, there's slim pickings out here when your standards are in line with where your faith is at. So this season of being single has, again, I think this is another blessing of having Bell's palsy, because we talked about the isolation process that this caused. I might have been open to the wrong opportunity back over a year ago. I might have been open to more damage, more emotional trauma, and what have you, had I not gone through the healing that I did. So where I'm at now is Jesus is my husband right now. He's my father, he's my husband, he's my best friend, he's my brother, he's a homie. Like, he is everything to me, and he knows the desires of my heart. And he knows that I know that when it's in his time, he is preparing the man that is for me. But I just ask him, I'm like, Lord, is this a yes or a no? You tell me, because you know my past, and my record is just not the best. Let's just put it like that. And I'm in a different season of life right now. So I don't have time to waste. I don't have energy to spend on wasting any time. So when there's an opportunity, I ask, is this an opportunity from God?
Yeah.
And we're still kind of getting closer, in our spirit, in our faith, for me to discern that. Maybe I'm just saying, I don't know if I'm open to a relationship right now. And I think I portray that. I don't know. It's so new. It's a totally new season in all aspects, and relationships are one of them.
Like, it has to be undeniably for you and for God. Like, it has to be, like, so, like, blatant in your face for you to be like, this is something I want to invest my time in. And I'm not even talking about romantic relationship. I'm talking like, yeah, that for sure. But I'm also talking like friendship or opportunity, or like anything like that. Like, I feel like who you surround yourself with is very, very important. Who you
Hands
spend your
down.
time with is very, very important. Not only does it shape you, but it also shapes perception of you. And, you know, like if someone is supposed to be in your life, but they see you hanging out with certain people, they may go, well, maybe just not right now. That's not really someone that I want to be around or
Yeah.
right now. And I think it's who you choose to have close to you is very, very important. But, you know, one person that, you know, you're around very frequently is Nevaeh, your daughter.
My best friend.
Yeah. So how is being a single mother with, you know, a daughter as young as Nevaeh, how has that grown your faith and grown your relationship with God? And also, I know you teach her about God too. So teaching her about God also helped you as well.
Jesus. Nevaeh is on fire for Jesus.
Yeah.
And I died tomorrow. There's one thing that I know I did right, and that was to make sure she knew who Jesus was. And it shapes our relationship. It shapes how she speaks. She's only 4 years old, and the things I hear her say are remarkable. And I praise God for that. Nevaeh, she holds me accountable in making sure I'm following the right path because of how much she knows Jesus right now at her age. And she looks to me for the example. And now, because of that, there's a standard that I have to show up as her mother in my walk with faith, in the relationships that I allow into my life, friendships, who she's being surrounded by, but she definitely holds me accountable in the regard of staying on track with that. I'm not perfect by any means, you know, and nor are we ever going to be. The only person that was ever perfect was Jesus. It means a lot to me, though, to make sure she is taken care of in that regard, in knowing what faith is like. Having her walk by my side through my Bell's palsy journey, again, another source of accountability. I had to gain that strength, that spiritual strength, of course, to fight this with positivity, with a different outlook on life, with a different outlook on what happens when we're thrown into a storm like this. How do you come out on top? And had it not been, I know I gave all glory to God, but had it not been for Nevaeh also being in my life at this time, how would I have really also handled this without the little eyes looking up to me? If Nevaeh goes through anything remotely close to this, or any experience for that matter of, any trial or any hard time, I just hope and pray that she can see this as an example of how to go through it.
Yeah.
And that's just with God, you know?
Yeah. She and children in general, right? They interpret what happens based on your response. You ever see those videos of the babies and the parents just start going, oh, no, 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 but nothing happened to the baby and the baby starts crying
Yeah,
because the
right.
baby thinks something's wrong. And there's also I mean, not even videos, but in my life with my nieces and nephews, they would fall. I go, you're okay. And they would go, oh, I'm okay. And like, but they just fell and hit their head. But like, because I told them, no, you're okay, they would go, oh, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay. So like, you set the tone. You set the tone for how we as a family, you're my daughter, but this is how we respond when stuff happens. Just so you know, we don't, we get sad, it happens, but we don't allow that to define how we move forward and how we still move. Yeah, we may go, God, why me? But we go to a point, we go, okay, God, now how? How do I get through this? How do I do this? And I really applaud you for, taking that route and taking that perspective, because being able to see that perspective is very difficult, especially when you're in the midst of it. I mean, I'm not a dad. I imagine it's like I'm sitting here trying to think like, oh, like how would someone do that? But I think with having a child, it's a little bit easier to be like,
Mm.
okay, there's another human being here who's depending entirely on me to wake up tomorrow and go to work and to make an income so they can eat food. They're also relying on me to learn the word of God, to learn about Jesus. They're also relying me on to, at the same time, not act like I'm under a huge amount of stress because I have so much faith in God. So you have to tie all of that together in order to set a proper example for a child that is just looking at you and to you for like, Mom, how do I live?
So I want to share what happened the other day with Nevaeh. Oh, it's true. Little kids, they're watching you closer than you think. And they hear and they feel. Like, you might not say something, but they could feel. Their senses are different. And through this experience with Bell's palsy specifically, I wanted Nevaeh to see every piece of it. Nevaeh saw me on my knees crying, screaming. Like, she saw that, like the agony of that. So what I don't want my daughter to grow up thinking is exactly what I'm healing from right now at 30 years old, is healing from all the suppressed feelings that I just put down and put down. Like, no, we can express those. They're valid. They're valid through this process of living and feeling and growing, and then she's seen the strengths, the highs, the adversity. We've learned through this that not everyone looks the same. Not everyone, people suffer from different things. I want Nevaeh to know those things head on. And I want her to know the triumph that comes from it, the victory that comes from it, of how the Lord Jesus can use us in opportunities like this. And she's seen examples of that. So the other day we were walking outside, and God bless her heart, there's a dead lizard on the ground. And she is just so heartbroken for this poor lizard. And she is, bending down, just looking at it. And she was like, hold on, I need to tell something to Jesus. And she puts her hands together and she starts praying and she's saying whatever she's saying. But then one thing she says is, Jesus, I can't do this on my own. And as funny as it was in the moment, because you're just seeing this poor 4-year-old just having a moment with God about a dead lizard, it's what she's speaking. It's the fact that the first thing she wanted to do was go to God. So she knows that now. Something hurts you, something's bothering you, something made you sad. Be sad, but go to God with that. Go to God with your fears. Go to God with your challenges, your emotions. And when she said that, I know she's had to have heard me in my what I call my war room, when I'm in my closet praying, because I can't tell you how many times I've told God out loud that I can't do this on my own. When we're driving to her daycare and I'm just praying out loud, just talking, not even think she's in the back listening to me. She hears that. Childlike faith is so important, because when you're born into this world, it starts now, the flesh and the spirit. And the fact that she was born into a time where I jumped into my faith, because the one thing, it was the most spiritual encounter I ever had, was giving birth. Immediately, I said, God, I can't do this alone. And that's when I turned over to my relationship with Jesus, was the birth of my daughter. So when I say Nevaeh holds me accountable, that's from day one. She was born, and this was the turning point of my life. So I have to live up to that standard for her, for myself, but for her too. So they're listening, and they watch you, and they see and they feel. And I want her to know that all of that is okay, but there's someone that's able to carry all of that. And it's not supposed to be us. We're not supposed to carry all of this.
Yeah. It's control what you can control, right? And if you can't control it, you got to give it to God. And even some things that you can control, you still got to give it to God.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about earlier, like, yeah, you can go to the gym 7 days a week, but sometimes you got to just give that rest day to God.
Yeah.
I mean, not sometimes, you should give that rest day to God always.
Right.
I think it's very, very important that you set the foundation so quickly, because kids come in as a blank slate.
Yeah.
For the most part, other than like some like genetic stuff, right? For the most part, they come in as a blank slate. And when you immediately set that foundation of, this is what we believe, this is who Jesus is, these are how we treat others, this is what we, how we our diet, what we eat, like the main things, this is how we talk to each other, this is how we speak to each other. Those things are so important, because they echo through not just you, but through her kids, her kids' kids. And like, if you make that change and you start that now, and you choose to teach her what is right, what is peace, what is love, what is hard work, who is Jesus, that starts, I don't want to say avalanche because that's like a natural disaster, but it starts snowballing. Snowballing's better.
Yeah,
It
there we
starts
go.
snowballing
Snowball effect.
positively, and that impact goes so far beyond you.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes we as humans, if we don't put God first, we get so caught up in how do I impact? How can I end world hunger? How can I cure cancer? I can't cure cancer. I don't have the lab equipment to cure cancer. How do I achieve being the president or being the king or queen of something? Or what, how can I do these amazing conquests to get all these accolades and be legendary? But the main focus should definitely be being, quote, for lack of a better word, legendary in the eyes of God, because you set a foundation that impacts not just yourself and the immediate people
Yeah.
around you, but because you took care of yourself and those immediate people around you, it has now impacted generations beyond you. And all of those people have helped a bunch of other people get to where they need to be.
Yeah.
But it all starts with you, and it all starts with you taking care of your corner.
That's right. Yeah, I think that without the firm foundation of Christ and faith, there's emptiness. There's a map that leads to nowhere. Like it's those big things that are on earth, here on earth, the suffering, the cancer, and all of that, to know that those are things that we cannot control, but we can be the light in the world. And I try to, as a mother, this is again controversial. Nevaeh is no stranger to what's going on in Gaza right now.
Yeah.
I think I want Nevaeh to know that what we have is such a blessing. The way we're able to eat, this is such a blessing. Look at what's going on in Gaza, these children losing their family, and to the extent of what is appropriate enough, obviously, for her eyes and ears, but she knows. And, you know, we touched on that briefly, but it was the next day on our way to school that you could tell it was still on her heart, because she asks me just randomly, "So, mommy, is Jesus in Gaza with those kids?" And then I was like, beautiful. Okay, your heart is in the right place. You're probably wondering, why are these kids suffering so bad, and where is Jesus? So that gives us an opportunity to talk about that aspect of it, right? And then she says, well, mommy, I have a good idea. We have food. Why don't we just give them some of our food? Lost it. I just in that moment, my heart went to God and just said, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because the world disasters and the war and suffering and sin and all of that, it's not going anywhere. So we have to, I don't speak for everyone, but I have to make sure my daughter knows that those things exist, but not because God doesn't love us, not because Jesus is not who he is. And so what does that lead to? Okay, well, baby, guess what? That doesn't just happen in Gaza. These are children don't have families and don't have food even around here in Florida. So let's get involved. Get your children involved in some appropriate things that teach them how to give back and be grateful for what they have. And another example of that is this will be my third year going to Nicaragua on a mission trip with my church. And I'm so excited that God put it on my heart as to be a missionary, because, that was a scary experience at first.
Yeah.
But it was a calling, and I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know why. I didn't know what it was, but it was definitely a calling. And so when I went that first year, Nevaeh talks about it every year. She can't wait to come to Nicaragua with me when she's old enough, obviously. We as parents have to, this is my earthly child, but this is the child of Jesus. And it goes back, it's my responsibility. It's that accountability. I have to make sure she knows she will always have a father, and his name is Jesus Christ. So it just warms my heart even just talking about it, because children are so innocent, but that innocence isn't made to be sheltered and coddled. Look, there's stages of their life that on ways that you can explain things that are appropriate for their age, but I don't think it would be fair to have Nevaeh grow up and not know what adversity is, and not know that, there's things going on in this world. It's like when parents and I was one of these parents, so I'm not judging, but when we're like, gosh, like these kids out here, they're 4 years old, 3 years old, and they know how to go on YouTube, they know how to work social media, they know how to do this. It's like, where are the childhoods that kids are climbing out in trees and, getting dirty and playing until the street lights come on? Like, the world is just changing, and we got to make sure that they're equipped on what's really coming their way. And it's a spiritual battle, no matter how you look at it. So I don't know, that's just kind of where I stand. My faith has gotten so deep that I share it with everyone. I should share it with my daughter in those ways as well.
Absolutely. I think that again, I'm not a parent, but I do think it's the responsibility of the parents. If that's like what you want your kid to do, you shouldn't also, when you're at a restaurant, throw an iPad in front of them to get them to be quiet. I'm not saying you do that. I'm not saying all parents do that, but like that is something that I've seen where they'll be like, oh, this new generation isn't like how we were. It's like, yeah, circumstances have completely changed. And the generation before you guys were probably working in the coal mines. And they're going to go, this generation is nothing like us. They don't have to go to work till they're 14 or 16 years old.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, especially Nevaeh's age, they're going to grow up with most stuff being technology. Like most of the things, most of the jobs are going to require an in-depth understanding of technology and AI to an extent. That's something that, like, even though, there has to be a balance, but I do think that you're actually preparing her by allowing her to know how to utilize YouTube. If she's searching things in Google, if she's using ChatGPT or some form of AI, like those are things that she's going to need to know. But going back on your Nicaragua trip, what are some things you're going to be doing down?
Oh my gosh. So this specific mission it's an all women's ministry group. So we're going down there with other women in our church, and we have the opportunity to serve and help with local churches in the communities that we'll be in partnering with Orphan Network to help feed malnourished children that really don't have the opportunity of meals. Sometimes the meal that they get through this church, in which works with the Orphan Network, is the only meal that they will have. And then, a lot of what we see over there is a lot of mothers are on their own doing it as well with their kids, whether the father's just not in the picture, maybe the father is trying to come to the United States to find work, whatever the case may be. It's a means for us to come and make sure that these kids and these mothers know that this is super temporary, because what's waiting on the other side, as long as your faith is in Jesus, is where your life will truly flourish. And I say that just because some of these people, there is no way out of their situations and where they live and their situations. We get to give in that regard. We get to visit homes in the communities and deliver essential goods, foods, toiletry products for them, water. It's so grounding to be able to do something like that. And like I said, it doesn't take a third world country to see that this happens all around us, like it's perspective, because it's the same problems.
Yeah.
We got the same problems. Our country's different, obviously, with resources and wealth and what have you. But what I'm able to gain from these trips is seeing that although we face similar struggles, seeing how God moves in countries that sometimes have nothing other than their faith in Jesus is remarkable. To see people come from the bottom of the bottom and just be so content with life because of their love for Jesus, is you come home with perspective of none of this matters. None of this matters, and it's beautiful, because it's heartbreaking. It really is to see what we see over there, but it's just beautiful at the same time, because you really feel God's got these people. these are people of God. They are people of God in Nicaragua, and their faith is just on fire.
Yeah.
The way they praise, the way they worship, the way they give thanks, the way that they like the innocence of, they don't have materialistic things over there to feel like they need and all that. Some people are living in trees, they built a house on top of a hill, and you go into these homes and you're just like, look at the views. Like,
Yeah.
this is, and they got their built, they hand make a stove of some sort, and what they have to, they have to hunt for their food or get, gather or whatever. I'm just like, gosh, this is, it's humbling coming from where we come from and what we have access to see true perspective of what is important.
Yeah. And I think it's very important what you said. Like, none of it matters, but Jesus matters.
That's it.
It's for a lot of people, sometimes it's complex, but if you take the simple language that you said, right? The word, like, Jesus matters. The word matter is like what makes up everything, right?
Mhm.
The word matter. But to say that something matters means that it is a verb, right? So Jesus is the creator in accordance with God the Father. So he matters. He makes matter. He makes everything.
I love that.
I'm very, with words, I really like to break words down very specifically, especially because growing up, I feel like growing up in the Catholic faith, people would just say stuff to say stuff. They would just have heard something and repeated it. But it took, because I was like that kid in religion class. I'm like, I'll repeat the whole Bible back to you, but at the same time, I'm going to question some things that you're going to say, because you're saying stuff that you say, you're like, well, that's faith. And like, yes, faith is very important. However, I have found out that there's also an explanation. So when you go, no, it's just faith, I go, yes, it is faith. But for some people, that may not be enough. So to have a full understand, not you, I'm talking to like my elementary school religion teachers, right? That may not be enough for some people, and you may lose a lot of people. But if you go, hey, look, do computers matter? Do they create? No, they don't. Matter is a verb. And now this is like very, very technical. So I'm sorry if I lose you.
Get
But
into
like,
it.
yeah, if something matters, it is a verb, like I said earlier. And it is the action of creating matter, the action of creating atoms. And atoms are what makes up the entire universe. So to say that anything other than the creator matters is false, because the creator is the only thing that can do the verb of making matter. So Jesus matters is literally a sentence that claims, and when you say Jesus is the only thing that matters, it's saying God is the only thing that creates matter. Jesus is the only thing that can create. Things cannot be created nor can be destroyed, but God can create, because God is outside of things, because he creates things. He creates matters. He matters.
Right. I love that. Wow, perspective.
That was years of me going through, like, thinking about a lot of stuff, but that is essentially what, like, I've broken that down to. Saying that anything matters more than that, it's like, well, this matters more than this, that matters more than that. I'm actually, none of it matters. If you want to be very technical with me, none of it matters.
Yeah.
Only Jesus matters. And that is a direct that is a statement of fact if you break down what it actually means.
Yeah. Perspective, Joe. And on that too is where my mind was going on the way I think and process is, yeah. And then when you think about it, how much worth and value do we put into things that just don't matter?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's false idols. That's what that is. That's what that is. Yeah.
And that can even go back to everything that we talked about on this episode, but specifically fitness. And this, another thing was a transition as of recently was, are we idolizing ourselves in the gym? Are we there to impress others? Are we there to gain this physique? And that was the pride and rebellion was the very first sin ever.
Yeah.
Satan, he caught a little glimpse of himself looking good,
Yeah.
And that's when all literal hell broke loose.
Yeah.
So, you know, the appearance of your results in the gym, it's important. It gives us credit almost, if you will, but it's not really what matters.
Yeah.
It's not what the number one priority should be. And like when we meet with a new client, and rightfully so, because confidence is a real thing. And if we're overweight or we don't like what we are seeing in the mirror, that's valid. Well, let's get you to a place that you feel like you look comfortable in your, what that looks and feels like to you. But for that to be the main focus, you're going to look a certain way and still be empty, because it really is not what matters. You can't put all of your value and worth into just how you look. But again, there's that line of like, I work hard. There's one, two, three, four, like five reasons why I do what I do before I get to, and I want my shoulders to look like this, and I want to maintain this physique. Because
Yeah.
that's just not at the top anymore. Because you just learn that that's not what matters. What
Yeah.
matters is the spiritual discipline that I'm gaining from the experience of being disciplined into the gym, and the privilege that I have of having a body as strong as I do. It is a privilege to go in and strengthen my body. That's what matters. When I'm
Yeah.
equipping myself for war, for what Jesus has called me to be here to do, I got to be strong for that, both mentally and physically. It matters to me to keep up with my child and the level of energy that a 4-year-old has. So I don't skip out on cardio because I'm going to have to strengthen my heart to keep up with this little thing. Like, that matters to me. So when it's all said and done, it's like almost like the part that I love the most about my job these days, and I think what maybe sets me apart from some, is I'm going to help plant a seed in that very, very initial appointment that you have when you meet someone. And that seed is, we might need to peel back to get that seed, but the seed is what really matters to you. Is it
Mhm.
really your looks? Okay, well, if that's the case, what will change because of that? And this is super nutshell, but you'd be more confident. Well, why aren't you confident now? And before you know it, we're talking about some trauma that happened 10 years ago. And now I know, okay, awesome. When you out here deadlifting and squatting this heavy weight and feeling strong and letting all that out, that's when you make it. That's when you know you're working towards what really matters. And the byproduct of that, sure, is a nice set of biceps.
Yeah.
Not mad about it.
Yeah. I also think that the look is so subjective, right? Like they're like, well, I want to look like this. I want to look like that. It's like, let's set some concrete stuff, because that's where, at least for me, confidence comes from, right?
Mm,
So like whenever I'm setting out, I can confide in myself. Hey, Joe, we're going to do this. And then I go and I do it. And it's like, now I have self-respect, because I know when I tell myself I'm going to do something, I can do it and I'm going to do it. So I can rely on me, and I can rely on, obviously, it's my relationship with God too, because if he calls me to do something and I go, okay, I'm going to, like, that's the obedient part though. Okay, I'm going to do it. It's committing, that covenant, that commitment. And then it's also executing that agreement that you had with the idea that God gave you and the calling that God gave you.
yeah.
And until you make those small little commitments to yourself, until you have shown him, like, hey, I can commit to this. I can commit to doing 10,000 steps a day. I can commit to working out for 30 minutes. I can commit to doing all of these things. Then he may go, okay, now it's time to be a personal trainer, now that you've committed to all these things in a row, and your purpose is to serve and to help now.
Others do the same. Yeah.
But I needed to see that you were going to wake up, and you were going to lose 20, 30 pounds or 50 pounds, that you were going to get in shape, that you were going to make all of these commitments before I gave you the calling of, it's time to be a personal trainer now.
Mm,
Because we often are like, why hasn't this happened to me? Why hasn't that happened to me? Why do I feel like I'm stuck? Why do I feel like I'm not doing what I'm called to do? And it's like, Well, because you're not taking care of your corner.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to be someone in finance, it's like, okay, but you have $10,000 in credit card debt. You can't even take care of your own finances. You think God's going to call you and going to give you the opportunity to help other people with their finances? You clearly haven't demonstrated or haven't made the commitment to the small area that you have in order to properly do that. So why would God bless you with so much if you haven't? I mean, he does bless. Like, I'm not trying to say he doesn't bless outside of what you're deserving of. But if he's going to give you his children, right, to bless them and to help them, he needs to make sure that you have committed yourself to things that align with that and that you have also followed through on those commitments.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Thomas actually has a saying. Do you know Eric Thomas at all?
Of course I do. Yes.
Yeah. He has a saying, and I found out like a year and a half later that he says execution is worshipped, but I first heard it as execution is worship. So like I took it as whenever I'm executing God's plan, that is also worship.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm executing my commitments to God, that is also worship. I can't just go to church not execute God's plan or God's calling that I got from that Sunday over the next 6 days and expect it to work out for me, because execution in the world is the ultimate form of worship. That's my perspective on it. Some people may not have that perspective, and that's okay, but that's my perspective on that particular situation. For you specifically, what is your ultimate form of worship?
Wow. Love these loaded questions. I think the most ultimate form of worship is honoring God in every single thing that you do.
Yeah.
Because everything that you do, everything that you have, everything that you don't have is more divine than we can imagine. That's really it. Like, you asked me a year ago, not even a year ago, even 6 months ago, because again, like, my journey is really unraveling into something very beautiful right now, but that takes time. But regardless, like now, before I work out, I am praying to God over my workout, over what it is that I'm going to be doing. And after my workout, I'm thanking God. And that's worship right there, is just honoring him in every single thing that you do. Worshiping through trials, giving thanks, expressing gratitude. You might be in a place where you just feel like you have nothing, and yet you still have 1,000 blessings.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah.
Was just honoring God in every single thing that you do and that you have, that you don't have. You weren't meant to have it. And that's perfectly okay, because if you were meant to have it, you would.
Yeah.
You don't have something because, that someone else has, not because you don't deserve it, but that's not your life. That's not your calling. That's not your lesson. That would be it for me.
I think it happens too when we think like, when we get so focused and so fixated on something that we think, oh, that's like I have 1,000 blessings, but I'm not worried about any of those blessings because I'm worried about this one thing. But if you're only worried about God and you're only worried about Jesus, that never goes away.
Yeah.
And you always have it. So you're never chasing anything either. You're never trying to get this thing that you don't have yet. And that one thing may completely ruin you. You could think, I need to get a Ferrari. Once I get a Ferrari, I'll be happy. You could lose control of that Ferrari and lose your life.
Absolutely.
And God's like, no, he's an idiot. I'm not giving him a Ferrari.
Not responsible enough.
Yeah, I'm going to give him, it's funny because I had a Jeep with the max miles per hour of 100. I'm not giving him a 220, 240 Ferrari. That's not happening. Why would I do that? He already goes too fast on the highway. He's not, I'm not talking about anyone in particular. Definitely not myself at all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. For sure.
Oddly specific, but
yeah. But if you're so focused on, and I do this so much, and it's because I want to be in a position to take care of Audrey, to take care of my future family, to make sure that if something happens to one of my parents or both of my parents, that I'm able to take care of and help my sister. And I need to get to this place. I need to get to this place. But then I'll see something like, this many Americans are $50,000 in debt. Only 4% of Florida residents have more than $10,000 shaved. And I'm like, I'm fine. Like,
Well,
taking, when I put it into perspective and I stop comparing myself to the 0.0001%, like, like this one guy, he'll be like, yeah, I made $100 million at 21 years old with Bitcoin and with this online tech company, whatever. And I'm like, why haven't I gotten there? Like, what is it for me? But like that 100 million in that tech company, that may be chains for him. I have no idea. That may be like, there's CEOs who have sold their or owners, founders of companies that have sold their company. And after they sold that company and made all that money, they got extremely depressed because they no longer had the pressure of running a company and they were so lost. And it creates this huge void because it's all that they focused on. So having faith in God and being like, why am I not here? Why am I not there? It's huge. It's huge for me now too, because right now I'm in a transition period going from Amazon to now working in the financial industry too. And like, there's so much flexibility, but like with that flexibility, there's also, I feel like it's uncertainty. But then I have to remind myself, like, use this to like grow your relationship with God. Use this to grow your podcast. Utilize this to reach out to people, to spend more time with people. Use that.
yeah.
And that's something that's, especially coming from the hustle culture, is extremely difficult. What's one thing that you have found the most difficult with trying to make rent money, not even rent money, like all the money, right? Like to pay all your bills, being a mother, having your own business, and just your personal and your health struggles when everything is like colliding? What do you do? I mean, I know it's going to be that you pray, but I know. I already know.
We can unpack it, but you took
We
the
could,
words right out of my mouth.
yeah. No, I know. Like, what's one thing that keeps you moving forward and that grounds you?
Other than Jesus?
Well, yeah, Jesus is number one, but on like really tough days, balancing being a mom, balancing your business, balancing your personal life. Like, what's one thing that you keep, or maybe it could even be Jesus, but what's like one Bible quote, or what is one thing that keeps you grounded the most, that you really, really, or what's a prayer? What's a prayer you turn?
I just think the medicine of all struggles, of all doubts, of all what have you, fill in the blank, is expressing gratitude.
Yeah.
Because if you can find one thing to be grateful for in the mix of all of this, usually that one thing outweighs all your problems. And even if that's as simple as, like, I'm going through this, I got rent, this, whatever, my child, we got to make sure we got food. Am I okay? All of it, right? But man, I got air in my lungs. Ain't that a blessing?
Yeah.
Ooh, ain't that just a gift in itself? Why do we got to overlook that? Just because life is hard.
Yeah.
I got 2 legs. I'm walking. I'm good. My heart's beating. Like, it sounds cliche until you understand the impact of okay, well, what if you didn't have air in your lungs? Wow,
Yeah.
what a tragedy would that be?
Yeah, like you're in an iron lung in bed. Yeah.
Or you're 6 feet underground. So every morning when I go to the gym, and I know I'm that one person that people are either like, yeah, I really feel that. Yeah, okay. Or people are either like that or like, yeah, okay. Is when they ask me how I'm doing, I'm like, any day above ground is a good day. We're all right. Or I'll be like, I'm blessed and highly favored. Why? Because I probably got the same problems you got right now. And some that aren't, and some that are different.
Yeah.
What's riches in life are not tangible. Riches is eternal life at the feet of my creator. Are you kidding me right now? Can you imagine that day? So again, God is going to make a way. So in the midst of the struggle, because it's going to be a struggle until it's not. And then when it's not, it's going to be a struggle again in whatever other way. And while you are here on earth, you can make your Instagram look as good as you want, but we all got our problems.
Yeah.
And nobody's perfect. Nobody's life is perfect. And if it was, this would be called heaven. And it ain't. expressing gratitude. And it shapes you. It changes you. Chemically, it rewires you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all the science that goes into just from expressing gratitude. So when I wake up every single morning, it's not that deep for me. Before my feet touch the ground, I do one of these because we be sleeping a little crazy sometimes. Pop my back. Okay, Lord, thank you. Thank you for that my daughter sometimes sleeps with me in my bed. And just when I hear her snore and I hear her breathe, I'm like, that is everything I need right there. Thank you for another day, another opportunity. There's going to be a life that I might need to change today. There's going to be something you teach me today. That just thank you. I'm so grateful. I wake up now and this shapes my day like you wouldn't believe. I wake up before my feet touch the ground. I have a moment with God before you habitually want to get on your phone. Who are you talking to first, the world or God? Okay, that makes all the difference for me. I still wake up at 5 a.m. I know we talked about it earlier, but the difference is I wake up at 5 a.m. I make me a banging breakfast, praise God.
Yeah.
I sit down at my table, I got my candle lit, I got my Bible open, and I'm reading. And I'm just spending time with God. It's a verse a day sometimes, it's a psalm a day, it's my Matthew study that I'm in. Whatever it is, I'm making sure that priorities are lined where they need to be. And that's it. I will add another thing in there too is community. You're not made to do any of this alone. Now it's kind of contradicting when I was saying that I went through a little isolation period, but that was purposeful. That
Yeah.
was not F the world. No, that was I need to be here. I need to feel this. I need to be away from distractions for a little bit and understand what's going on here spiritually.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's reshaped my lens of what I see. It's like God removed a veil and I see things so clearly nowadays. And that has to do with friendships. Jesus sat at tables with sinners. So it's not about judging people. It's just about, are you leading me to greatness? Are you pouring into my purpose? Or are you a distraction for where I'm supposed to be going and what I'm supposed to be doing? And the community that God has brought me are also rooted in their foundation with Jesus. So when I'm going through it, I got at least one person that I know that I could call, text, go get coffee with. My clients, you think this industry is about us trainers pouring into our clients?
Mm.
The impact that my clients have on my life and how they get me through things, how they lay their hands on me and pray over me, in what world do you see that happening in the workplace?
Yeah.
Those are the things that matter to me is quality time with Jesus first and foremost, expressing gratitude because someone always has it worse than you, no matter how bad you think you have it. The one thing that you are expressing gratitude for, someone doesn't even have. Someone just died. You're over here, well, thank God I got air in my lungs. Little do we know, one of your friends, family members just died, whatever.
Yeah.
And then community, making sure you have some soldiers in your group that'll go to war with you, not against you.
Yeah.
I've learned that people are out here sometimes unintentionally to go to war against you.
Yeah. And they think it's good for you. Like that's one thing that like I have some people in my life. I quit drinking for 6 months. Sorry I cut you off, but like this was like
So
this hit, right? I quit drinking for 6 months. During that time, you would be surprised how many people go, "Oh, just have one," or "Oh, just have like why are you so hard on yourself?" And I'm like, "You don't understand like I made a commitment. Like I talked to God and I said, I'm not going to drink alcohol for 6 months. I need a break. I can't do it anymore. I'm not going to do it anymore. For 6 months, I will not drink. You'd be surprised at like, oh, stop being this, stop being that from family, because they were mad that I could stop and they could not.
mhm.
I'm not talking about like my dad, my mom. They were like, thank God you stopped. Right.
But even so, some don't even have, yeah, that support.
Yeah. Right. Even my sister was like, no, let him not drink. Like, stop. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
very, very grateful for my immediate family that was like, stop,
Yeah.
to everyone else. Because even like, and it was also so hard to not, it was like when Jesus was in the temple, right? And they were selling stuff in the temple and he flipped the tables over. I wanted to flip some tables over. Like when people were like, so why are you being like that? Just have one. I wanted to flip a table over, but I also had to just be like, nope, nope, I'm good.
Yeah.
It was a wild experience for me because had maybe I not been doing it and I had been drinking, I may have crashed out on some family members.
Yeah.
And because I was making the commitment with myself, I felt good enough to just say no. And it's going to be no because I said no, because I don't need that right now. I don't want that right now. But they think in their mind that I'm being so hard on myself and I'm punishing myself because I'm not drinking. And at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm like, you're punishing yourself. You're poisoning your body. That's
You're
what
like, but
you're
we
doing.
won't get into that.
Yeah. Like what are we talking about here? I don't want to hurt, a grown person's feelings because, that happens frequently around me. I'll leave it at that. But the moment you call someone out on something like that, they get upset. And it's hard for me to balance calling people out, but also like don't throw stones. If you live in a glass house, there are things that I do that I'm not necessarily great at and I necessarily haven't handled the best in the past. So it's hard navigating that. How do you navigate that? Like, you know, not calling someone out I feel like you're more natural with it, right? Like you kind of just float into conversation, kind of let them figure it out, right?
It's
Like
just funny because I'm
yeah.
a straight shooter, and that's gotten me in trouble in the past. Like, ooh, I'm
Mm,
sorry. Like, I didn't even mean for that to come from a bad place. I thought you asked me for my advice, and I gave it to you. And okay, so you didn't want my advice. I gotcha.
yeah.
I'm a straight shooter, and that's just how I receive things. I would rather someone tell me how it is, but a gift that I consider myself gifted with from God is the ability to empathize with
Mm,
people. And this is real, and a quick example of this is I've never had cancer and had to deal with chemo, but I just took on a client who was letting me know about her journey and how some sessions might look like this. We might have to cancel and things like that. But she was talking to me, and I asked God, I'm like, God, bring me there. Allow me to feel what she potentially, and I went to a place that isn't my norm. And I felt that. I mean, it
yeah.
affected me the rest of the day. I had to maybe I have to work on being able to come out of that. But I consider it a gift to be able to, and it's sharper now. I never knew, I didn't always know that the gift was what it was, but I'm honing in on that gift and I'm allowing myself to understand maybe someone's perspective or what someone is really asking, but being a little bit more graceful with my approach. And I've also learned to ask questions. If someone is asking me for help, or I'll ask them, I'm like, well, do you really want to know like what I have to say, or do you want me to pour some sugar on what it is that you kind of just want to hear? Almost just, and however I word that, it's almost just like asking for permission before I just come out and like
Mm,
go for it. But I just wanted to say I relate on the drinking journey because I'm a
yeah.
little over 100 days sober myself.
That's
And
awesome.
it's so awesome.
Yeah.
I was a social drinker, so that's really just what it was for me. It was an opportunity to fit in, not miss out, apparently spend a lot of money because it's not cheap out here to be drinking on a social outing. Like, I'm going to give some advice here. And just so you, like, when you pray for something, you better be ready for it
Yeah.
because God will answer your prayers, but it's not going to look like what you thought it maybe should have looked like.
Yeah.
What do I mean by that? I have been praying to God. Okay, for example, God, heal me, heal my heart, purify my heart, get these wounds that I've scarred, like these scars, open them up, and then, plant seeds of flowers. Like, whatever you got to do it. Those words, whatever you got to do it. Well, I wake up with Bell's palsy one day. I
Yeah.
didn't know that was going to be a blessing. I didn't know that was going to be what made me finally not look in the mirror at external beauty and have to be forced to look on the inside at how beautiful of a person I really am, to be able to see what other people claim to see. Like sometimes it's going to hurt, but
Yeah.
at the reward of an answered prayer. So on the drinking journey or the non-drinking journey that I'm on, I have been praying, God, give me a spirit of discernment. Help me pick things out and hear things more clearly and see things more through your eyes. So what does he do? He speaks to me. How do I hear him? Different ways, but one way is through conviction. So
Mm.
before I know it, I have a drink out in the crowd. I'm like, oh, I don't feel right. Like this kind of is starting to feel like a little wrong. Like, why am I here? Why am I drinking? Oh well, drink anyways. The next time, okay, this is feeling worse. I'm feeling tired. Alcohol isn't even hitting me the way it used to. I'm not all crazy and fun with all this energy. Like it's acting as what it is, an actual depressant, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And before I know it, I'm not drinking anymore. God put the final conviction in me when I spent all this money on a freaking margarita flight because everyone else was doing it. And I'm a tequila girl through and through. I take one drink of this margarita, I almost spit it out. It
Yeah.
tasted like poison. It tasted like something I've never even drank before. I didn't get my money back. I didn't, nothing. I just was like, oh my gosh. And that whole night, all I felt was, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be with these people. This all feels, sounds, and looks so wrong. And it was that moment where I stopped. And now I see things the way that I prayed for once upon a time.
Yeah.
And if you're going to ask God for something, don't expect him to come in and do it your way. It ain't your way.
Yeah.
It's not your way at all. It's going to be up to God. But the moment you ask for permission or the moment you ask for it, he'll give it to you. But it's not going to be in your time. It's not going to look like a cute little wrapped up gift like you thought it might have. But you can be rest assured that he will deliver on his promises.
Yeah. There's a lot of not memes, but kind of like memes out there now. It's like if you ask God for to be a champion, he's not going to deliver you a trophy. He's going to deliver you like workout shoes, like running
Yeah,
shoes.
right. Or what's the other one? You pray for a cake and God delivers you the ingredients, the
Yeah.
tools, whatever. It's up to you to make it.
Yeah.
So come on, we just gotta put a little bit of effort in. We're not that lazy as Americans. I mean, look, laziness is a sin. We won't get into that, but we gotta do our part here.
Yeah.
God's not a miracle. Well, hold on. Wow. He is the number one miracle worker. He isn't a magician. He's not a magician, but we have an obligation here on earth to fulfill as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a disillusion with, I don't know how to say this without it sounding bad, but like God's going to take care of it all right. But if God gives you a clear, like, I hate my job sucks, I want a different job. God, I want a different job. And then you keep getting like notifications for like, oh, get this certificate, get things keep popping up like project management certificate or whatever it is, right? And you're like, well, no, God, I want another job. And God's like, well, you have to be qualified for the next job that I'm going to give you. Just get the certificate. That's all you got to do. Just get the certificate, take the class, take the course. And then or you meet someone and they're like, yeah, I'm a recruiter. You're like, oh, that's cool. And then you walk away and it's like, no, God just brought you a recruiter, literally puts people with he or she puts people with companies that require a job, that need a job. Why are you walking away from this conversation right now? This is what you need. You need a different job. They got you. That's what they're put there for. And it's being aware that you ask the question too, right? It's being aware that like, I asked God for this. Let's see what happens. Now I'm aware because I'm seeking what he's doing in my life.
Yeah.
And if you're not seeking, you will find. If you're not seeking, you're not going to find. You're just going to think that these are things that are just randomly happening to you all the time and that they're not something that has been put there on purpose for you to get to where you need to be in life. And that's essentially why I asked the question earlier of like, you being open to stuff, right? Because I wanted to know, like, because it seems like now you're a little bit more closed off. However, sometimes God's journey requires you to be more open. And it seems like before you were more open, but now that you're on God's path, you're closed off. So how do you do you see kind of the contradiction? So that's why I was asking you, like, how do you make that distinction? And that's like, it's hard for me. So with that perspective being put
Yeah.
out there, does that change your answer at all?
Yeah, totally. I think I'm closed off to the right things nowadays. I think I have more of an understanding of my purpose. And when you know more about your purpose, you're not as open to just everything. You're not supposed to be a yes man. Say yes to everything. No, because I've been there before. I see patterns better now. I understand that some opportunities are either an opportunity of disaster or an opportunity of growth. And I think it comes with the spirit of discernment as well, is being able to filter out a little bit more. So if you're on this path, this narrow path, you're going to come to some forks in the crossroad, and it's you might make a mistake here. Okay, well, pick your things back up, get back on the path, keep moving, because something like that's going to come around disguised as something else, and you're going to be able to see it a little bit more clearly and have some more either boundaries. Maybe you're closed off to certain things like that, but you're not wrong in the sense of I'm a little bit more closed off to certain things, but I tell God daily that I am open to what you have in your will for me. What is in your will, let it be done. And when you're boldly able to just ask God that, you don't have to contemplate between the devil and the angel on your shoulder anymore. It's
Yeah.
clear as day. It's
Yeah.
That's okay. The your gut instinct, your intuition from a spiritual perspective, that's just the Holy Spirit trying to help you out.
Yeah.
So there's no need to rationalize with certain things. And I don't know actually if that really answers the question all the way, but I'm more open to what God has in store for me and what I'm supposed to be here. And certain things feel right and certain things don't. And I'm just trusting more. I'm just trusting more on the things that do feel right that I once was closed off to. Maybe it's because it was hard work. Maybe it was because it was going to take an uncomfortable change out of me. And those were really the things I needed to be open to versus I'm open to comfort. I'm
Yeah.
open to generational patterns because I know these things. I'm used to chaos. I got it here. It's when you pray on I'm no longer interested in those things, they don't really have a chance as much as they did in maybe earlier life.
Yeah.
So I'm still open to lessons, I'm open to opportunities, but they're a little bit more slim because not every opportunity, not every door is a door meant to be opened.
Mm.
Not every door needs to even have the entertainment of knocking on, because now you're knocking on curiosity and it might open up a door to something really shiny and ooh, this looks nice. Just praying for guidance. Guide me to the right opportunities, God. Is this from you? And I'll feel it. I'll hear it. It might take some time. It might take some mistakes, but I think now more so as ever, I'm just open to change. So when things are coming my way that are like different and they're kind of scary, that's when I'm feeling like God's got something for me here.
So you don't take that as a retreat thing. You take that as, oh, this is good.
This is good. It can be good. But I've also learned in the process of that is I was an impulse everything, impulse buyer, impulse getting into relationships, impulsive decision making. Like there's a time and a place where you just gotta pray on things and just, okay, this might take a month, it
Yeah.
might take a day, but is this the right path? Is this the right decision? Is this the right, Lord, speak to me? Let me open up my Bible. And that's happened a few times where I was then able to go into something more confidently because now I know I got clarity from God that this is it.
Absolutely.
So you just got to use wisdom on the other doors where you're like, oh, I better close this right now because I've seen something like this before and this is a disguise. This is a distract. This ain't it. This is not an opportunity. Abort, close it, lock it up.
Yeah. It's hard, especially with alcohol's been like one of the main things that I've like struggled with a balance, which is why I took that 6 months of nothing. And one of the main things that's hard for me is like I don't drink regularly, but I'm going back to Harrisburg for my birthday weekend, and my dad's band's playing that weekend, and all of my friends, naturally, because I'm going up there for my birthday weekend, they're all going to be there. And we're going to be drinking. I'm going to be drinking. One thing that I have done, though, is I've cut it back a lot, the times that I do it, plus the amount that I do when I do it. But it's a celebration. So it's very hard for me to in the Bible, even Jesus celebrate. Like when they celebrated, he even turned the water into wine because it was a celebration time. He even understood okay, this is a time to have some wine. Not get drunk, but this is a time to have wine because it's a time to celebrate. So like that, and when I passed my exam, my SIE exam, I went out that night. I had a few drinks, nothing crazy, but I celebrated. So celebrating at the end of something, or when I've completed something and being able to rest, relax, and have a few drinks, while it makes sense because I'm kind of weaning off of, oh, it's the weekend. You know what that means? Right? I'm weaning myself off of that. But I will say at the end of the 6 months, I had my first sip. It was like a tequila seltzer. And when I sipped it, it was like a celebration for my 6 months being over. And I immediately go, why did I just do that? That was my immediate thought was, why did I just drink that? Why did I do that? It wasn't now, thank God it's over. Now it's time to, it was for what? You drank that for what? And it was just, yeah, it was just it was a weird experience for me. I thought I would be time to drink, but I wasn't like that. So my expectation did not meet the reality of how I was feeling at all.
Wow.
And it keeps reconvicting me, that moment and that feeling. But then also I'm but there's a time and place for it, and it's celebration. But then I don't know. I go back and forth on it a lot. I'm also well, why poison yourself on the celebration day? That makes no sense. That's
sure. Or what does the token of alcohol resemble in the celebration to you, to whoever is using, alcohol as a celebration?
Yeah.
Some people will be like, yo, let's celebrate. I got a line of Coke, but it's just for celebration. It's why do we need?
Yeah.
Okay, we can celebrate without it, y'all. What are we doing? But I think it comes down to the root of why do we think that it's a celebration is worthy of drinking. For me, my first mission trip to Nicaragua, right after I get home from Nicaragua, this was such a culture shock. Jesus did something crazy this year. 2 days later, I traveled to the Bahamas for a company paid for trip that I earned, resort living, these flashy drinks, food, whatever. And I realized then that was the very first seed, we'll call it a seed, because I didn't understand it at the time. It was just a feeling oh, why do I feel like this? Where I felt that I was drinking to be in company that I didn't feel like I could be myself around. In order to be around these people, good people, doesn't mean they're bad people, but something about maybe I feel like I need to be someone I'm not. Maybe I feel like I'm more open when I'm drinking, and therefore I can be part of conversations or enjoy the time. Maybe I didn't know. I've always been known to be such an extrovert and good at speaking, but maybe there was a time and a place to be an introvert, to just be still. But I think it was just going from that place of Nicaragua to the luxury of the Bahamas was just a very eye-opening experience. I was still processing things that I saw for the first time ever. So that was 3 years ago. So I'm talking 3 years of still drinking in social settings. We're not made to be just turn a new leaf and then life is perfect. We have to go through certain things to have more of a clarity on, oh, that's why I felt that way. And that trickled into this. So we'll take alcohol away from it. What about food? I preach to my clients all the time. Food is not celebratory, but culture, depending on culture and where you're from, we celebrate with food. I don't know where you're from, but this is what we do over here.
Your birthday, you got a cake on your birthday, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not food. That is something that was created by man and society, and listen, there's balance of life, okay? 80-20 is the way to go, trust me, if I learned anything. But alcohol, food, we're sad, let's numb that with alcohol. Let's numb that binging out on drinks.
I feel like that's when it gets bad, when you're just doing it to do, like, I mean, that's a judgment, right? Like, well, people who just do it on a Tuesday, they're worse than me because I do it on the weekend when it's accepted to do it on the weekend.
It's accepted, like by who?
There won't be any kind of societal shame because
right.
A 26-year-old guy went out on a Saturday night with his friends and went to the bar.
Right.
That's a socially accepted thing to do.
But why are you getting home from work on a Wednesday pouring up a glass of liquor?
Yeah, exactly. But maybe, God says not to get drunk. Maybe the guy who's doing one glass a night, he's actually following what God wants more than me, who gets, has more than a few on a Saturday. Because God says don't get drunk. That's like the main thing is do not be with those who get drunk on beer and wine, and do not be a person who gets drunk. So like, yeah, I'm like, well, I just drink on Saturdays. But is the person drinking one a night actually serving themselves better than me because I'm putting it all on one day? Like, which one's better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's different for everyone. Like for me, when I got baptized, I thought I got to cut this out, cut that out, cut this out. That's not how it works. The way I looked at baptism, and a friend said it best, is you are born again, right? We know that, but you're a baby. You are a baby again. So you gotta learn and learn how to walk again. You're gonna fall. You're gonna hit your head on things, and more on a spiritual sense than literal, or literal, and both. And I love that because now I saw the transition of being a baby in my faith, a toddler in my faith, a child in my faith. I'm kind of like getting out of the adolescent into the grown stages in my faith. And that's really cool to look at it like that because you are born again. So it's not supposed to be like the alcohol might not convict you like it convicts me. But I got some things in here that maybe you don't have in the same regard, to where alcohol, and I'll give you an example, I'll have a drink socially, mostly, and all of a sudden my judgment is out the window. I'm talking too much. I'm probably saying some things that are like not ladylike. Like, why am I cussing all of a sudden? That's not how I want to speak or be heard as the woman I'm wanting to transform into. Or the confidence level when you're drinking is a little too confident, where you're like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Like, we done with that,
Yeah.
But that's just my convictions, and those convictions might hit you, but with something else. Maybe we have the same convictions, but the thing about it isn't necessarily alcohol that needs to be like stopped. For me, that's what it was for me. I miss, when I was cooking the other night, I missed having a glass of wine in my hand while I'm cooking. That just went hand in hand to me. But even though I'm not getting drunk, it's still, alcohol does something to my mind and my body and how I think. I started feeling like, I don't mean to change the subject too much, but let's turn alcohol into marijuana.
Yeah.
I'm great on that aspect. It's here from the earth, and it's not as toxic. It's not toxic as alcohol, but when God is transforming you from the inside out, however you want to look at something, oh, it's not that bad, it's good. You got to pay attention to what's going on now. So all of a sudden, what made me feel so calm and taking the edge off, I now get anxiety when I'm in that state of mind. It doesn't feel right. Why am I having these thoughts, these anxious thoughts. I thought this was supposed to relax me. I'm actually kind of freaking out right now. And that's what you got to pay attention to. That's what I had to pay attention to. So to be completely sober right now in a world where these substances are made for example, celebration, it's no wonder why this path is so narrow. This path is so hard because it's not understood by those who are not also either on it themselves or as far along the journey as you are. That's why there's no place for judgment.
For sure. I remember specifically when I used to do it. I don't anymore. When I used to smoke, it would get to a point where I would be like, as soon as I would hit it, I would go, what else could you be doing right now? That question would pop right in my, like, almost, it was like clockwork. It would go, what positive thing could you be doing right now the moment that I did it? And then I would just spiral from there because I go, I missed church this Sunday, but I'm here getting high on my couch. Or I worked out, but I didn't run. Or I could be doing something with my podcast. I'm ignoring that. Or I could be working toward something else, business wise. Or I could be calling my parents, calling my mom, calling my sisters, some kind of connection with someone. I could be going out into the world. I could just be talking to a random stranger or something. But instead, I'm here on the couch, sitting here, doing nothing. Like that question of what else could you be doing just hit me so hard. I assume, I could be wrong, but is that also kind of how your anxiety was with it, or was it a completely different form of question that you were asking yourself?
It was a little different. It was more just the state of mind that it put me in. It wasn't the same. There's not really much depth to it other than I don't want to feel like this again. I don't know if it's because, my purpose is, I prayed on, I need a clear mind. Well, all of a sudden, weed is no longer putting me in a clear mind. So God is that, to me, that's communication. That those are the things that don't, in my opinion, don't require rationalization. Okay, I prayed on a clear mind. This isn't giving me a clear mind. I got to get rid of it. You just got to be spiritually disciplined to know when to cut something off. Again, there's going to be slip ups. There's let me try it again and just see. Maybe it was the strand. Maybe it was the time that here we go. We all do it, and before you know it, it's the same thing. So it wasn't so much that as it just was like, okay, that's not serving me anymore. Maybe that served me when I had less problems in my life. I don't know, a result of something else. And what is it? Mostly Jesus. Or what do I do now? I bought a piano keyboard and I'm teaching myself how to play the piano.
Yeah, I saw that. How is that going for you?
A little Beethoven up in here. We getting into, and I love it because it's an outlet. And what used to be an outlet was drinking. What used to be an outlet was smoking. Shoot, we don't even got to talk about drugs. What's an outlet to some people is doom scrolling on social media. That's a drug in itself, right? The addiction of dopamine release. So now what I get to do in the opportunity of learning the piano is I'm learning my favorite worship songs. And it's a moment that I get to spend with God. I'm learning something again. That feels good in itself. To just do something like, I'm just going to learn how to play the piano. Okay, with the time that I have in my life, where? But I'm making the time because it's not about learning the piano. It's spending time with myself. It's spending time with God. It's a form of worship. We can go back to that. How do I worship? By learning how to play one of my favorite worship songs on the piano so I can express that, have a form of expression. So yeah, I think it's just things as you grow deeper into your walk with God, you turn from a baby in your faith to more of an adult in your faith, and things just become a little bit more obvious to the point where you're just like, okay, now it would just be a teenage peer pressure move if I were to do this again, because I am that firm and I just know this isn't for me.
Yeah. If you could say one thing to someone who is on that walk of faith, someone who maybe is preteen in their faith journey, they've done the they've gotten rebaptized and they're learning about God, learning about Jesus, and they're kind of on that path. And now they've hit the preteen adolescence kind of stage. What's one piece of advice that you have for them moving forward?
I would say to straddle up, because it's going to be a wild ride. No, and that's just facts, because baby, from here on out, it's war. It's war. But strive for progress, not perfection. You strive for perfection in anything you do, you're doomed to fail. If you strive for progress, you see the light and you see the growth, and that's the reward, and that's the encouragement, that's the inspiration to keep going. If you strive for perfection and you're constantly failing, you're going to get the wrong viewpoint of God. You're going to get the wrong viewpoint of Jesus. He's not expecting you to be perfect. God, if you believe wholeheartedly that God sacrificed, he came to the world as a fleshly human so he can feel and everything that we feel as humans today, just to send his son to die for our sins and pay our debt, then honey, that's the reason. You're not here to be perfect. We're all doomed if we're supposed to be perfect. We're all going to hell. We're all going to hell if we think that we got to be out here trying to be perfect. So my advice, and just based on experience, is it has to just be about progress and grace. Give yourself love, show yourself love and grace during the process, because that's what Jesus is doing. He's showing you love, he's showing you grace. You strand away, you make a mistake that you said you were never going to make again. Well, that happens, but God's not leaving you just because of that. It's just learning who he is as a father. It's learning who he is as a brother, as a friend, as a spouse. It's when you learn the character of God, you embody more of the Spirit. You embody more of the grace and of the love. And that alone is worth more than what you're pouring value into the flesh. So progress over perfection in anything you do, but definitely in your walk.
That's awesome. And I feel like that's a great thing to end on as well. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today and to be on the podcast.
That was awesome, Joe.
I really, really appreciate it. Is there anything that you want anyone to like follow you on, like Instagram or anything like that?
Well, I only have Instagram. I have not yet, nor do I know for sure if I will ever be on the TikTok wagon. I just don't know yet. Praying on that. You can follow me on Instagram at @a_hit_of_coco_. And there you will see glimpses of everything that is valuable to me. My faith, motherhood, fitness, health, personal growth, development. It's just kind of a page of all of that. If I can shine the light on social media, it's going to be on that page.
Awesome. And thank you all for listening. We are on Instagram with Reels, and then we also are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Thank you all for listening. Really appreciate it. If you guys have any kind of journey that you want to share, drop it below in the comments. And as always, stay blessed.
Thank you.